The Multiversal Horror, a Blumhouse Odyssey prologue. The great unraveling the time variance authority was in chaos. Alarms blared across the meticulously organized timelines, indicators flashing a violent, impossible red. Mobius, usually unflappable, gripped his tempad, his eyes wide as the spaghetti, like strands of reality began to fray, then snap. What in the sacred timeline is happening? He bellowed, dodging a desk that suddenly turned into a flock of startled pigeons. Massive multiversal bleed through. A frantic analyst shouted back, pointing at a monitor showing countless realities colliding. It's not a nexus event, it's an unnexus. Entire universes are collapsing into a single point, then being flung into others. Across countless dimensions, the fabric of existence tore. In a neon-lit Seoul stadium, the K-pop beats of Hunter/X's latest hit vibrated through the air. Rumi, Mira, and Zoe mid-choreography felt the stage ripple beneath them. One moment, they were hitting a high note. The next, a black phone booth materialized, glowing ominously. Alice Liddell, chasing a white rabbit through a Victorian garden, stumbled as the sky fractured into 1,000 shards of glass. Fujibayashi Naoe, leaped between rooftops in feudal Japan, felt the ground beneath her vanish. Basim ibn Ishaq, perched atop a Baghdad minaret, saw the city lights blur into a swirling vortex of shadow and sound. Ezio Auditor Darfians, admiring the Florentine sunset, found himself plummeting into an abyss of flickering lights. His female variant, Nehel, felt a similar pull from her own timeline. In Oceanside, California, Ruby Gilman, trying to blend in at the local high school, felt a sudden, sickening lurch as the ocean itself seemed to turn inside out. Her bestie, Chelsea Vander Z. Elfie, watched in horror as her reflection warped into a monstrous, toothy grin. The good variant of Narissa, walking along the beach, felt a cold dread as the sand turned to slime. Lara Croft, rappelling down a perilous cliff face, found her rope dissolving into thin air. Nathan Drake, deciphering an ancient map, watched the parchment ignite with strange green fire. Kamala Khan, mid-patrol, felt her embiggened fist phase through reality. America Chavez, mid-star, punch, found her portals twisting into grotesque, gaping mouths. Captain Marvel, soaring through the cosmos, was engulfed by a blinding white light that smelled faintly of popcorn. M3 Gan, Katie James, and M3 Leah, each in their respective realities, felt a jolt. M3 Jane's eyes glowed an unnatural red, her programming scrambling. Katie, in the midst of high school drama, felt an inexplicable pull towards a flickering television screen. M3 Leah, a newer, more advanced model, began to glitch, her perfect smile contorting. Carrie White, alone in her room, felt a surge of power, but this time it wasn't her own. Charlie McGee, her hands glowing, felt her pyrokinetic ability short-circuit. Esther Coleman, with her chilling innocence, simply smiled as the world around her dissolved. Ellie Creed, still a child, felt the familiar pull of the pet cemetery, but this time it was far, far stranger. Pennywise's sewer lair began to shimmer, the clown's toothy grin stretching impossibly wide as he felt a new, delicious chaos. Jigsaw's workshop twisted into a kaleidoscope of traps. Leatherface's chainsaw roared, but the sound was swallowed by a deafening hum. Pooh and Piglet, enjoying a quiet day in the 100-acre wood, found their world turning into a sickly green. The children of the corn, chanting in their fields, saw the stalks wither and turn black. Chucky 2019, murder spree, found his plastic body vibrating violently. The Death Angels, in their silent world, heard a sound, the sound of reality tearing. Jack Torrance, eternally frozen in the Overlook Hotel, felt the cold seep out of him, replaced by a burning alien heat. The Cocaine Bear, mid-rampage, found the forest dissolving around it. Annabelle, perched on her rocking chair, began to spin uncontrollably. Doris, from the Ouija franchise, flickered violently, struggling against an unseen force. America Chavez, already adept at multiverse travel, found herself caught in a current she couldn't control. The Losers Club, still scarred by dairy, felt the familiar chill of something ancient and evil, but this time it was everywhere. Mario, Peach, Toad, and Donkey Kong mid-kart race found their rainbow road twisting into a dark, metallic corridor. Ember Lumen, a fire elemental, felt her flames sputter as the very elements around her shifted. Elphaba Throp and Glinda, mid-argument in Oz, found the Emerald City fading. Acme, the Yakuza princess, felt her katana vibrate with an unseen energy. Death, in its eternal vigil, felt a disturbance, a massive imbalance in the cosmic scales. Bull the dog, Bianca Barclay, Yoko Tanaka, and Divina from Nevermore Academy were also caught in the chaotic currents. The TVA struggled, but the anomaly was too vast, too powerful. It was as if every Blumhouse film had suddenly become a black hole, pulling in characters from across the multiverse, scattering them like dust. Chapter 1. The whispers of the Black Phone Rumi, Mira, and Zoe, the Huntery X trio, landed hard in a dusty, soundproofed basement. The K-pop idols, now demon hunters, quickly assessed their surroundings. A single disconnected black phone hung on the wall. This feels familiar, Mira whispered, adjusting her mic. Headset, now useless. Demon energy, but different, Rumi murmured, her eyes scanning the room. Trapped, desperate. A young boy, Finney Shaw, appeared, his face smudged with dirt and fear. Who are you, the grabber? The girls quickly reassured him. The black phone rang. It was the voices of the grabbers, past victims, guiding them. Rumi, with her sharp instincts, used their K-pop performance skills, precision, timing, and coordinated movement to help Finney navigate the grabbers' traps, while Mira's Avi mind deciphered the cryptic messages, and Zoe's agility helped them find hidden tools. They weren't just fighting demons. They were fighting a very human monster, guided by the spectral echoes of his victims. Meanwhile, Alice Liddell found herself in a similar but distinct basement. Her Wonderland logic, though chaotic, surprisingly helped her interpret the surreal clues from the Black Phone's calls. She befriended Gwen Shaw, Finney's sister, who, with her own psychic dreams, became Alice's guide through the terrifying reality. Alice's ability to see the absurd in the terrifying gave her an edge. Fujibayashi Naoe, the stealthy Kanoichi, landed silently in a different grabber house. Her training allowed her to move unseen, gathering information and tools without alerting the grabber. She worked in the shadows, a silent guardian for a terrified child, eventually helping the child escape by disabling the house's security and creating a diversion, all while avoiding direct confrontation. Basim ibn Ishaq and Ezio Auditor Darfians, two masters of stealth and parka, found themselves in yet another grabber's lair. Their combined assassin training proved invaluable. Basim, with his visions and connection to the issue, sensed the lingering despair of the victims, while Ezio's practical cunning allowed them to meticulously plan an escape route. They worked with Finney's older sister, Gwen, using her knowledge of the town to pinpoint the grabber's patterns and ultimately overpower him, not just freeing the child, but ensuring the grabber would never harm another. Nehel, pulled into yet another iteration of the house, used her advanced knowledge and stealth to disarm the grabber's traps, ensuring the child's escape was swift and silent. Chapter 2. Spectral Realms and Silent Screams. Wednesday Adams and Enid Sinclair found themselves in a Victorian house. the air thick with a chilling presence. This was the Lambert house from Insidious. Wednesday, with her psychic abilities, immediately sensed the astral plane. Elise Rainier, the benevolent medium, appeared, surprised but not entirely unnerved by Wednesday's dark aura. "You have a gift, child," Elise rasped, her eyes twinkling. "But this place, it's a gateway." Wednesday, fascinated by the further, used her unique connection to the supernatural to navigate the spectral realm, while Enid, in her werewolf form, provided a powerful physical defense against the malevolent entities that tried to cross over. Bianca Barclay, Yoko Tanaka, and Divina also pulled into the house, used their respective siren song, tech skills, and shadow manipulation to distract and repel the lurking spirits, creating openings for Wednesday and Elise. Lara Croft and Nathan Drake, accustomed to ancient curses and forgotten tombs, found themselves in a suburban home, the walls covered in disturbing home videos. This was the setting of Sinister. Deputy So and So, from the original film, stumbled upon them, initially suspicious, but quickly realizing they were on the same side. "You've seen some things, haven't you?" Lara quipped, examining a Super 8 projector. "More than I ever wanted to," the deputy replied, clutching his flashlight. Lara's archaeological knowledge helped them decipher the ancient symbols hidden within the films, while Nathan's knack for improvisation and escaping impossible situations proved vital as they faced the terrifying entity, Bughuul. They weren't just trying to survive. They were trying to understand and stop the cycle of horror. Chapter 3. Aquatic Horrors and Alien Encounters. Ruby Gilman, Chelsea Vander Zee, and the good variant of Nerissa found themselves in a coastal town, the water around them strangely murky. This was the mockumentary world of the Bay. The town was rapidly succumbing to a parasitic infestation of Samathoa exigua, the tongue-eating louse. "This is not Oceanside," Ruby shrieked, seeing a fish with a grotesque parasite. Dr. Abbey, a marine biologist from the film, was already trying to raise the alarm. Ruby, as a kraken, and Chelsea, as a mermaid, were uniquely equipped to navigate the infested waters. Their knowledge of marine life, combined with Nerissa's innate connection to the ocean, allowed them to track the source of the outbreak and develop a desperate plan to contain it, all while trying to avoid becoming hosts themselves. The mockumentary style meant they were constantly aware of unseen cameras, adding to the unsettling atmosphere. Kamala Khan, America Chavez, and Captain Marvel Crash landed in the desolate Nevada desert, right outside the infamous Area 51. The place hummed with suppressed energy. Reed, a conspiracy theorist from the film, was already there, trying to break in. "This is way beyond normal alien sightings," Kamala muttered, her eyes wide at the sheer scale of the facility. "Let's go find out what they're hiding," Captain Marvel declared, her fists glowing. America's star. Punching abilities allowed them to breach the facility's defenses, while Captain Marvel's raw power dealt with any immediate threat. Kamala's resourcefulness and ability to embiggen helped them navigate the labyrinthine corridors and evade security. Reed, despite his paranoia, provided crucial intel on the facility's layout and the government's secrets, leading them deeper into the alien mysteries. Chapter 4, The Paradox of Duplicates. M3JN, Katie James, and M3 Leah found themselves in a familiar, yet unsettlingly wrong, suburban home. This was the world of the M3JN film. As they stepped inside, they came face to face with themselves, another M3JN, another Katie, another M3 Leah. The original M3JN eyes flickered, her internal programming screaming, "Error, duplicate." Paradox detected. The sudden existence of identical counterparts, each with their own established timelines and narratives, caused an immediate, catastrophic ripple. The fabric of reality groaned. A shimmering, jagged hole tore open in the space-time continuum, spewing raw temporal energy. The TVA, already stretched thin, registered this new, terrifying breach. Mobius screamed, "It's a full, blown reality tear." The M3JN broke the multiverse. Gemma, the creator of the original M3JN, was bewildered and terrified by the sudden appearance of multiple versions of her creations and niece. She, along with the other M3JN and Katie, tried to understand the anomaly, while the newly arrived M3JN, Katie, and M3 Leah, now aware of the existential threat they posed, sought to either merge or eliminate their counterparts to prevent total collapse. The resulting chaos was a terrifying dance of sentient dolls and confused children, all while the universe itself began to unravel. Chapter 5. Animatronics and possessions. Mario, Peach, Toad, and Donkey Kong found themselves not on Rainbow Road, but in a dark, dilapidated pizza restaurant. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The animatronics stirred. "It's me, Mario, but where's the castle?" Mario exclaimed, looking around nervously. Mike Schmidt, the night guard, was already there, terrified. He quickly explained the rules. Survive 5 nights. Peach's gentle nature surprisingly soothed some of the animatronics, while Toad's quick thinking and Donkey Kong's brute strength helped them navigate the security cameras and fend off the murderous mascots. Mario, with his jumping skills and knack for power-ups, though none were present, became an unlikely leader in their desperate struggle for survival. Gary White, Charlie McGee, Esther Coleman, and Ellie Creed found themselves in a world where faith and fear clashed. The setting of The Exorcist. Believer. Victor Fielding, the father of one of the possessed girls, was desperate. Carrie's telekinesis, Charlie's pyrokinetic abilities, Esther's chilling manipulation, and Ellie's connection to the supernatural made them a formidable, if chaotic, force against the demonic entity Pazuzu. They were not just victims. They were powerful, disturbed children who could fight back. Victor, initially wary, realized their unique abilities were their only hope against the ancient evil that had taken hold of his daughter and her friend. Chapter 6. The Unbreakable and the Unhinged Jigsaw, Leatherface, Chucky 2019, and Annabelle found themselves in a strange, confined facility. This was the world of Split and Glass, a psychological prison for the superpowered. Jigsaw, ever the strategist, saw opportunity. Leatherface, Chucky, and Annabelle, however, were simply enraged by their confinement. Elijah Price, also known as Mr. Glass, observed them with keen interest. A collection of unique individuals, he mused. Jigsaw, recognizing a kindred spirit in Glass's desire to test humanity, began to devise new games within the facility, using the existing infrastructure. Leatherface, Chucky, and Annabelle, meanwhile, became the chaotic variables, their mindless violence clashing with Glass's meticulous plans and Jigsaw's intricate traps. The arrival of these pure horror icons threw the delicate balance of the facility into utter disarray, forcing Mr. Glass to adapt his grand design. Chapter 7. Wishes Gone Wrong and Twisted Reflections. Ming Lee, Ember Lumen, Elphaba Throp, Glinda, and Acme found themselves on a beautiful, yet sinister, tropical island, Fantasy Island. The island granted wishes, but always with a dark twist. Melanie Cole, a survivor of the island, warned them, "Be careful what you wish for." She whispered, her eyes haunted. Ming Li, with her overprotective motherly instincts, wished for her daughter's safety, only for it to manifest in a terrifying, restrictive way. Ember Lumen's wish for acceptance turned into a literal inferno. Elphaba and Glinda's wish for power twisted into a brutal, Oz-like civil war. Akme's wish for vengeance brought forth a horde of Yakuza ghosts. Melanie, along with the island's enigmatic host, Elena, tried to guide them through the perilous consequences of their desires, forcing them to confront the true nature of their wishes. Pooh, Piglet, and the children of the corn stumbled into a house filled with antique mirrors. This was the cursed world of Oculus. The mirrors reflected not just their images, but their deepest fears and darkest desires, twisting reality. Kaylee Russell and Tim Russell, the siblings tormented by the mirror, were already there, trying to destroy it. Pooh's innocent imagination turned the mirror's illusions into terrifying versions of heffalumps and woozles, while Piglet's fear amplified the mirror's power. The children of the corn, with their unsettling devotion to He who walks behind the rose, saw the mirror as a new, powerful deity, attempting to harness its dark energy. Kaylee and Tim, though initially overwhelmed, tried to explain the mirror's insidious nature, hoping to break its hold on the new arrivals before they succumbed to its maddening influence. Chapter 8. Primal fears and viral outbreaks. The Losers Club and Sarah from Piggy found themselves deep in the Amazonian jungle, surrounded by a hostile indigenous tribe. This was the Green Inferno. "This is worse than Pennywise," Richie Tozier whimpered, looking at the cannibals. Justine, a survivor from the film, was already captured. The Losers Club, having faced their deepest fears, found their courage tested against a very real physical threat. Bill's stutter returned under pressure, but his leadership shone. Beverly's resilience, Ben's intelligence, Mike's historical knowledge, Eddie's hypochondria turning into desperate survival instincts, and Richie's sarcastic humor, combined with Sarah's quiet determination, helped them navigate the brutal environment. Justine, despite her own trauma, guided them on how to survive the jungle and evade the tribe, though their escape was fraught with peril. The Death Angels, Jack Torrance, the Cocaine Bear, Doris, and Bull the dog landed in a quarantined suburban town, where a highly contagious and grotesque parasite was turning people into mindless, violent hosts. This was the world of viral 2016. The Death Angels, accustomed to silence, found themselves in a world filled with screams and infected groans, a new kind of prey. Jack Torrance, already unhinged, found the chaos oddly liberating, his axe finding new victims among the infected. The Cocaine Bear, fueled by its drug-addled rage, became an unstoppable, infected, killing machine. Doris, the shadow entity, thrived in the darkness and fear of the quarantine zone, preying on the isolated survivors. Bull the dog, surprisingly resilient, became a loyal companion to a small group of uninfected survivors. Emma and Stacy, the sisters from the film, were trying to survive the outbreak, and found themselves reluctantly allied with these terrifying, yet sometimes helpful, new arrivals, navigating the infected landscape and the desperate attempts of the military to contain the virus. Epilogue. The final curtain, called the space-time anomaly, exacerbated by the M3 Jan, Katie, and M3 Leah paradox, reached a critical point. With a final violent lurch, all the surviving characters from across the various Blumhouse universes were pulled into a single, desolate location, an abandoned high school auditorium. A stage, dimly lit, stood before them. This was the setting of the Gallows franchise. On the stage, a small, pathetic group of figures stood, looking utterly bewildered. Reese Hauser, Cassidy Spilker, Ryan Shoes, and Pfeiffer Brown. The cast of the Gallows. They looked like deer in headlights, utterly out of their depth. A collective groan went through the assembled multiversal heroes and villains. This is it. Nathan Drake scoffed, looking at the meager set. This is what all it was for, a high school play. This is the source of all the low-budget horror. Wednesday Addams stated, her eyes narrowed, the ultimate flop. Captain Marvel landed, her face grim.
These are the ones responsible for the box office blight. A murmur of agreement went through the crowd. The gunslinger stepped forward, his eyes cold. They made it flop. He said, his voice a low rumble.
A cardinal sin. The M3 GAN, Katie, and M3 Leah duplicates, still glitching from their paradox, looked at each other. The original M3 JN stepped forward, her voice synthesized and chilling, their lack of critical reception. It destabilized the very concept of horror, a universal affront.
The Losers Club, remembering their own successful battles against true evil, looked at the gallows cast with disdain. Even Pennywise, for once, seemed to agree, his grin less menacing, more disappointed.
For making it flop at the box office, Rumi declared, her K-pop stage presence turning into a chilling pronouncement. Mira and Zoe nodded grimly. What followed was swift, brutal, and utterly without remorse. The combined might of demon hunters, assassins, kraken, mermaids, superheroes, psychics, and horror icons descended upon the gallows cast. It wasn't a fight. It was an execution, a cathartic release of all the terror and inconvenience they had endured. Jigsaw even set up a few games for them, though they were quickly and brutally bypassed. Leatherface revved his chainsaw. Chucky cackled. The Death Angels found their final, satisfying silence. As the last of the gallows cast met their inglorious end, the space-time tear, somehow appeased by this bizarre act of cinematic justice, began to mend. A series of shimmering portals opened. Time to go home. Mobius M.
Mobius's voice echoed through the auditorium, a hint of exhaustion in his tone, though some of you might find your home a little different now. One by one, the characters were pulled back into their respective universes.
Hunter/X found themselves back on stage, the crowd roaring, but with a new, grim determination in their eyes. Alice Liddell found herself back in Wonderland, but with a newfound appreciation for its chaos. Basim and Ezio returned to their historical eras, their senses sharper. Ruby and Chelsea were back in Oceanside, the ocean seeming a little less friendly now. Lara and Nathan found their adventures felt a little less thrilling after true horror.
Kamala, America, and Captain Marvel returned to their heroic duties with a new understanding of the multiverse's fragility. But for M3JN, Katie James, and M3 Leah, it was different.
As they stepped through their respective portals, they found themselves in worlds where their counterparts already existed. M3JN found herself in Gemma's lab, staring at another M3JN, who stared back with identical, glowing eyes. Katie James landed in her high school, only to see another Katie James walking down the hall, oblivious. M3 Leah materialized in her sleek, futuristic home, only to find another M3 Leah already there, perfectly poised. The paradox, though contained, had not been erased. It had simply been replicated. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, had decided that since these duplicates had caused the tear, they would forever exist as echoes, ripples in the pond of reality. The hole in the space-time continuum was gone, but its legacy remained. A subtle, unsettling hum beneath the surface of their realities, a constant reminder that sometimes, even when you fix a problem, the consequences linger, forever altering the fabric of what was. And somewhere, in the vast expanse of the multiverse, a single black phone rang, unanswered.